Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Welcome to the highlight of your entire week. This is once again the Escaping the Suburbs live stream and garden party, and I'm so happy to have you back here again. Let me know how the microphone volume sounds. I always feel like this thing seems like it's too far from my mouth, and I slowly subconsciously am pulling it back closer and closer to myself, but it's probably not necessary. So let's see who we have here checking in already on the chat. Got a few of you already showing up. That's very nice. Let's see, we got my dad looks like he was the first one to jump in. Hello, Dad. How are you this fine evening in Texas? Good evening, garden partiers, this beautiful Wednesday evening from Northeast Texas, where the storms have blown away and have headed out to your friends in Arkansas, right? I was watching the weather. I can't remember now if this was yesterday or Monday, but there was quite a lot of storms going on in Northeast Texas. And our old friend Daniel, welcome back, Daniel. I'm so glad you're here. Beautiful people. Daniel in Indiana, is great to see you. It was great having you on last week on the live stream as a special guest because you're very special to me, Daniel. That was a good time. It was like having a little online party for you, so that was a lot of fun. And look who's here. My favorite, absolute favorite Peruvian of all time. Hello, Geraldine. Geraldine. Geraldine, it's always good to have you with us. And I don't have a Tolkien reading tonight. I have a different author. If we get a chance to get to our nature reading, we will get into that, but it is a different author. Let me show you all Suzuki the cat, who is here. Let's go ahead and take that off the screen. Oh, there we go. And Suzuki is just chilling over here, sitting on my other laptop because it's warm. And on that topic, I did a little bit of rearranging of the living room here. This is my office, but my office is also the front room / living room. So a little bit of rearrangement further away from the window, a little bit off to the side from the bookcases, puts me out a little bit more into the middle of the room. And I also moved this side desk because my desk is kind of in an L shape, and this moved it around to this side instead of this side. So this is open now and easy to get up and walk to the kitchen, the most important room in the house. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. We did hit 3,000 the other night. Why not? Let's just real quick take a peek while we're on the subject because of Daniel. And wow, 6 people watching right now. Outstanding. No, Geraldine, you should not go just because it's not going to be Tolkien. You should stick around because not only is Suzuki here, and it looks like she wants to come over here. Come here. Let's pan you over. She's having a good time with the microphone stand here. But in addition to that, the other good reason is because we'll be reading Julius Caesar tonight and see what he had to say about nature. Listen, you can't be bumping into the microphone, kitty. So as we can see in our web browser here, if we look at the channel dashboard, today it stands at 3,003. You know, it comes and it goes, right? 47 in the last 28 days. So we're getting a couple day, a little bit less than a couple a day. It goes up, it comes down, goes up, comes down. And, the goal when I sort of rebranded this channel and pivoted into a new direction last April, the goal was we'll try to hit 5,000 by the end of the year. Now, I don't know if we're going to hit 5,000 by the end of the year. Maybe. I kind of think maybe not. But it could happen. It could happen. And another arrival here. CL is here. Hello, CL. I have been enjoying the heck out of your channel, by the way. Dropped in there several times this week. course, I have notifications turned on with the bell notifications turned on. But I also see your comments on some of our other friends' videos now and then, so it's really nice to see you in there sometimes too. That's always good. Face red, heart shape. Yep. Um, uh, yeah. So it's been 3 months of live streaming now on this. Um, I guess that was kind of one of the pieces of advice that we got from our mentor, Rob the Maritimer. He says they're going live on a regular time and a regular day. So this actually now is we've hit 3 months straight live streaming without missing a Wednesday night. And it seems a lot easier now that we've switched it over here to earlier. We're getting a lot more folks. I don't know if we're going to catch Monica tonight in Scotland because she's still feeling under the weather. I've been to the doctor a few times and they've got her all pumped up with medication. So spare a thought for Monica. Add her to your prayers there. So the office has been rearranged. I like this layout a little bit better. 3,000, yeah. So on the topic of the 3,000, the 3,000 mark. Here's the weird thing. Let me show you this again. I was on Rob the Maritimer's live stream yesterday, and he has after his live stream, he goes live with a special show just for his members, people who are his members, and I'm one of them. And I got a chance to ask him this question. So I've got a troubling situation where what I've been doing is I've been publishing my long form video on Monday, and then I use that Opus Clips tool to chop it up into shorts, and I release those after the live stream on Wednesday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, usually I've got a ton of these little 30-second shorts, which are just cut up slices of the long video. The long video is usually 10 minutes, right? What was my one that I did? If we take a look, you guys can see the videos that have not come out yet, but our video from this past Monday was, can you make your own luck? A scientific approach, which is done pretty well compared to some of the older videos. 28 views and 14 comments. When I posted that, video on Facebook, I said, this is going to bother a lot of people because of the topic. Can you make your own luck? And it was a good video to get chopped up into shorts, but here's the disturbing trend. And there's our friend, the Tennessean. You guys, by the way, a reminder, go subscribe to this man's channel. He is doing so much cool stuff with this little boy on his channel. I was watching him. I actually, and I apologize, Tennessean. I don't know your first name, but we'll call you Tennessean unless you want us to refer to you by your first name. But he's got a video where he's starting to make a little log cabin with his son, like in the yard or something on the property. And it was so funny watching his little boy try to push these trees down. I'm telling you, I actually watched it twice. I watched that video on 2 different days because it's so funny watching that little boy try to push these trees down and pull them down. I was just cracking up. So everybody make a point and a reminder. Go back. So let's get back to my troubling conundrum. This is what I said to Rob the Maritimer on the private chat with him. The long videos is what I really want to focus on, and that's what I really want to be making. And I want you folks to like I want you to like the video, I want people to like those videos. Those are the videos I want people to pay attention to and see. And those, oh, your name is Tyler. Got it. Okay, I will remember that, Tyler. Easy to remember. Very good. Hi, Tyler. I'm Scott. Nice to meet you. And my dad says, hi, Tyler. In case you didn't know, Tyler, this guy here is my dad up in Texas. But here's the crazy thing. Going back to this page here, the subscribers, I can even show you in the advanced mode, right? There's an advanced mode that shows, which one did I say? Subscribers gained and lost. the subscribers really show up and subscribe to this channel based on those shorts. So if I make a video that's 10 minutes long on a Monday, and then on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, I release these little 30-second clips of it, of course they get a lot of views because shorts get a lot of views. That's just what happens. It's very normal that shorts, for any channel, you can pump a short out and you're going to get 700 views or 1,500 views or 2,500 views because that's just what shorts are. People are just scrolling on their phone and you're going to get a lot of views. But I'm surprised at how many subscribers these silly things get. I told you I'm averaging about 1.5 to 2 a day. But on the days when the shorts come out, look at this, man, where there's 5 subscribers, 12 subscribers, 4 subscribers, 5. I mean, for my channel, that's a lot because I'm a little guy. Now, this little gap right here where there's 1Z, 2Z, that's when the regular video came out. And then back here, 7, 5, these are when the shorts came out. And then this is where the regular video came out. And this is where so it's been this weird pattern. And I don't really know what to think about it. And I don't, look at this, guys, in case you're wondering, $16 this month, that's going to pay for my gas. Woohoo, we're getting rich. So I don't know how I feel about that because Rob made a good point. I asked him that question on his live stream and he answered and said, if people subscribe to you based on the shorts, they're not your long form viewer. And that might be true. Maybe they're not. But at the same time, maybe they are. Maybe those are the same folks that are gonna watch both videos. I know that a lot of the people who comment on the shorts are the same folks. It's you folks, everybody in this chat, and Granny and Lori from Lori's Soul Circle. Those are the folks who make all the comments on the shorts. Now there's some strangers and some randoms who post sometimes negative stuff and sometimes positive stuff. But I just don't know how I feel about it. Rob's suggestion was stop doing shorts for a while, which I could do. I could just make the long form videos only, but it doesn't take any time at all to tell this software, go chop up this video into 25, 30-second or 40-second. What it does is it scans the video for a complete sentence or 2 complete sentences and analyzes what you're talking about and puts them into a little short that's sort of like a complete thought. So you have a short that's like 30 seconds or 20 seconds for whatever your most recent complete thought was. Let me get caught up on the chat because sometimes you guys get ahead of me here. Tyler says he grew up in Texas. I noticed that because I didn't know you grew up there, but I noticed you have a Texas tattoo on your arm, and I thought that was funny, being the outdoor Tennessean, but with Texas on your arm. But I think that's true of Daniel Boone too. So, you're in good company. Tyler's hoping to get up to 500 before the end of the year. I think that's very doable, sir. Absolutely think you're going to do it. That should be pretty easy for you. I think the first 500 kind of just roll in on virtue of being a consistent uploader. You could be uploading just about anything consistently and hit 500, and you're going to be at 1,000 before you know it too. So, no doubt. All right, so on that, I'll just go ahead and close off that topic. But the long videos versus the shorts, I'm going to keep making the shorts just because A, it does seem to attract subscribers. B, we don't care that much about subscribers anyway because you don't have to have a lot of subscribers to have a lot of people interested in your channel. YouTube does a pretty good job of showing videos to people based on what they like and what they watch, what kind of things they comment on. In fact, it's smart enough to know if you're watching on your TV or your phone or your computer, and it will show you different channels based on what you're watching. Have any of you noticed that? When I go in the other room and turn on the TV and log into my channel, my login on the TV, it shows me the same channels that I always watch on TV. And when I come in here and sit down at the computer, it shows me the same channels, which tend to be different than what I watch on the TV. And then if I'm scrolling on my phone, looking at videos on my phone, it shows me the channels that it thinks I usually watch on my phone. And I'm the same login. I'm the same guy, but I never see Jet Lag the game suggested to me on my computer. But on the TV, absolutely I will. And When I'm on the TV, I'll see Cruising the Cut or Tyler's channel suggested. But when I'm in here on my computer, you know what it really suggests a lot is how to do YouTube videos. Mainly because when I'm sitting at my desk, I'm working on my channel and I'm learning about how to use this software, Ecamm, or I'm trying to learn a new skill, trying to build up a new skill on my skill stack every single week. Get some new how to do something interesting, right? And it knows I'm at my computer, so it shows me videos on that topic, right? Geraldine says, if I do something for my channel, 1,000 is the goal. I'm in the 600. No, I don't think it's a big if. I think you can get there. If you just keep consistently uploading your videos, I think you'll do it. And Daniel just subbed to the Tennessean. Very good. Excellent. And CL agrees with us. She says, yeah, the Roku TV YouTube is different from your iPad, right? Right? You go to the Roku TV and go to the YouTube app, and it's going to show you a certain collection of channels that it thinks this is what she likes to watch on YouTube. And then you get on your computer or your iPad or your phone, and it's going to show you different stuff. So it is what it is. I'm going to keep making the shorts because they're easy to make. Why not? Sorry, Rob. If you're watching this later, I'm not going to take that advice. I'm not going to not do shorts. Tyler says, my new video will drop the cabin build part 2 this Friday. So 2 days from now, 4:45. That's a good time to start, I think, Tyler. 4:45 gets you in ahead of the 5 o'clock because everybody's going to drop their video at, sorry, I bumped the mic. Everybody's going to drop their videos at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. And I've thought of doing the same thing. If you drop your video 15 minutes before, you kind of beat that rush of videos that get dropped all at the same time. And Friday afternoon, you're going to catch all the weekend viewers, all the people who just got off work Friday afternoon. I think that is a great time to post a video. Absolutely. Yeah, don't give up, guys. I'm someone who took 6 years to get 3,000. Well, now 3,021. Well, I've been going for 9 years, Daniel, but I really only count the last 6 months because I was doing everything you can do wrong on this channel. I was making videos about whatever I wanted to. I wasn't being consistent about my topics. The only common thread on those videos is that I was filming them from a motorcycle. But one day I'd go to visit the oldest Publix in Florida, and one day I'd go to visit the beach, and one day we'd go to a twisty, windy road, and one day we'd go try to visit all of the historical markers in my county. It was like all over the map. And there was no theme, there was no niche, there was no topic that we could say what I belonged to. And I was doing everything else wrong too. The videos were long and ponderous and boring. And it was this past April that I decided, okay, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to try to run it as if I was actually running a business. And I'm going to educate myself, learn what allegedly works, what doesn't work anymore. Like, what kind of things do I do in my channel that they worked 5 years ago, but nobody does that anymore, that kind of stuff. So we've gotten over 1,000 viewers, subscribers since April. So will we make my goal of 5,000 by the end of the year? Absolutely. Why not be optimistic? Of course we will. Definitely we'll get 5,000 by the end of the year. All right, I want to show you guys something cool, unrelated to that, if you don't mind. I want to show you something I recently discovered called the Shade Map. And it is indeed related to nature. All right, so this is called shademap.app. And this is just a satellite view. Let me take a peek back at my Ecamm. Yep, you guys can see this. So we can see this is a satellite view that I can scroll out and zoom in. This is just a random neighborhood down here near where I live. One of my friends actually lives in this clump of houses here in the middle. And what it's currently shading in this dark color is because if you look at the clock near the bottom, let me just peek real quick, and I want to make sure I'm not missing anything important in the chat. Nope. So at the bottom, you can see I've got it currently set to 7 a.m., which is just a little bit before sunrise. And the point of this application for gardeners or for people who go out in the woods is where will the sun hit throughout the day. So look as I drag this thing across the bottom, it starts to show where the sun will start to hit. So let's zoom in on my buddy's neighborhood here. These are two-story houses here. So as I go back towards sunset, you can see the sun starts to strike from the east. And then as I scroll it towards 8 o'clock, the sun is starting to rise up over and the sun is starting to hit their yards. And so as it gets to be 9 o'clock, we can know that this, my friend's house right here where his swimming pool is, his backyard's starting to get sunshine around 9 or 10 at this time of year, current time of year. And I can also come down here and select different days and different times. And so then the sun passes overhead around noon, of course. And then as we get into the afternoon, we can see, again, looking at my friend's backyard, we can see that his sunshine is gone by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock right here, and then he's in shadow. And so that's pretty neat. But the other cool thing about this is I can tilt the view, and if I do that, it creates these 3D blocks of the neighborhood. So now, if we scroll that, we can see the shade and the shadows created by these blocks on the neighborhood throughout the day. So that's really cool. And you can see an entire region, of course. If you pull back, you can see, let me turn it back straight up so we can turn off those blocks. And then we can see the shade and shadow being created as the sun goes down for this entire area and region. It's really neat. Now, just for giggles, I'm going to go downtown where the really tall buildings are. This is downtown Fort Lauderdale. And as I tilt it, we should start to see these much bigger blocks and bigger buildings. And so as I scroll the sunshine, we're going to start seeing much longer shadows being cast by these tall buildings. That's really neat. I'm going to turn it straight up, and then these will disappear, but we can still see these shadows being cast throughout the day on these tall buildings. So if you were thinking, for example, of buying a condo in this condominium building right here, you would say, okay, but that building right there is going to block out my entire building. So no sun for me from 2:30 to not even by 5, because by 5, this building is starting to block it. You would say, boy, this guy right here, after 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, he's not getting any sunlight this time of year. And if you were thinking about buying a condo on this side of the building, in the morning, you're not going to get any shade because it's all blocked out. And then around 3 o'clock, you lose your sunlight. So, you're not going to be growing any plants or anything on the balconies of that big, tall building, right? It's pretty neat. Shademap.app. I'm going to, just for fun, drop a link to that in the chat so you can see that. And Daniel wants to know, how did you find out about this app? Well, I just was looking for a tool that did this because I was working on my garden in the backyard, and I have a south-facing backyard, which is pretty convenient for a garden. But my next-door neighbor has put up a pretty tall fence, a 6-foot tall fence between him and me, which I love because I get a privacy fence for free. I didn't have to pay anything. He put it up. But as you can imagine, a 6-foot tall fence this time of year, the sun is not that high in the sky, even at noon. So his fence is creating a shadow into my yard that's about 4 feet, 3.5, 4 feet into my yard, which is there all day. As the sun comes up and goes down, that fence is blocking the sun. So I had to think about what plants I might want to, whether it was going to be grasses or pentas or flowers or something along that fence. I had to think about how much light does it get and what kind of plants would do okay in a medium light. They're really kind of getting that ambient light that whatever bounces off the house back at them, or just, the diffused light that comes, that we all see by. But they're not getting direct sunlight. So I went looking for something online that would do exactly that. I wanted to find something that would do exactly what I just showed you. And as it turns out, there's several websites that do it, and some of them that charge money for the privilege, but I found that free one. So that's the one. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I agree. That was neat. Pretty cool. Let's take a look at our show notes and see what else I wanted to tell you all about. We could talk about our recent videos. So, a couple things. First of all, we had our 3,000 celebration party for Daniel last week. That was really cool. And in case you didn't know, Daniel also reposted that interview on his channel. So, most of you are probably already subscribed to Daniel's hunting and fishing and outdoors channel. I've been really enjoying it because Daniel got that Savage rifle, 308 deer rifle, and I'm really into that rifle, buddy. That's a cool gun. And he just posted a video reviewing little cheek cover, buttstock cover, ammo holder. So that was cool. And last Friday, I did a surprise live stream without any warning. I didn't schedule it ahead of time. I didn't plan anything. I just sat down because on Fridays I go to Google Maps. Let's bring up that video and look at it together. And on Fridays I go to Google Maps and I decide where I'm going to go on Saturday to make a video. And the way I do that is I go into Google Maps, and I made this into a regular video. So here it is. Let's pop this open, but I need to be able to mute it as soon as it starts playing because I don't want to blast your speakers. There we go. Excuse me. I was able to reach the mute button in time for that sneeze, which is good. So on this video that I made, I did a live stream and just on the fly showed my live stream viewers, anybody who was watching, basically a tutorial of how to use Google Maps, like you see me doing in this video right here. It's probably kind of funny to see me in a window looking at me in a window looking at the web browser, but that's what happens when I play a live stream back on my live stream. Inception. So I showed in this video how I'll navigate around and look for likely targets of where I might want to go using the green text that shows up on the names of parks for maps. And near the end of this video, I ruled this one out because it was just a bunch of baseball parks and stuff like that. But near the end of this video, I kind of settled in on this idea of going to this South SWA Greenway Trail system. And that is, in fact, where I went on Saturday. So the video here, which I did edit and chop down and took out a lot of the extraneous rambling that was in the live stream and turned it into a regular video. You can see right here, you can see right here me planning out my walk of what I'm going to do the following day, which was last Saturday, which I did in fact go on. So if we now go back here, you'll see that this video up at the top, how to discard stress and anxiety fast. This was, I'll give you guys a sneak peek of it. This was filmed at that exact place. There it is, the SWA Greenway Trail System. And this little marker right here shows the exact same map and layout that I saw in Google Maps. Now, the cool thing is I actually could take a picture of this board and have myself a copy of these trails that are pre-mapped out. The SWA stands for the Solid Waste Authority. And basically there's a facility here that's a garbage processing factory that turns garbage into electricity, which is pretty neat. But they've got this land all around their facility that you can go on these hikes and trails. So that's what I did. So it worked out. It was a good time. I went on something called the Rookery Trail, and I can show you. I brought back a brochure that was sitting at the bottom of that. It was sitting at the bottom of that marker board that I just showed you. And I like it because it had a pretty rudimentary map of the various trails, including the PEEF, our parking area. But it's also got information on what kind of animals you can expect to find out there and what else you might see on the trail. So it was pretty neat. And I only went on one of the trails, and it indicates that the one I went on, which, by the way, is called the Pink Trail or the Rookery Trail, Well, the map said how long it was. The map there, I mean on that board, said how long it was. I could go back to Google and see if I can tell. No, I can't read that. It's too tiny on the map. Anyway, I think I walked 3 or 4 miles and made a nice video. So that's a mission accomplished. Showing you folks on Friday my planning process for getting out there, and then Saturday getting out there. And it's a nice place. I think I might go back. It's a little bit of a drive. I would say it's about 40 minutes for me to drive to the parking lot up there. But the fact that I only went on one of the trails, and there's 3. Yeah, there's 3 trails. There's the Rookery is the only one they have the name on here because this is the brochure for the Rookery Trail. I'd have to go to the other 2 trails to get their brochure, which I will do. So let's take this brochure and we'll put it with our other brochures. We'll save those because we'll be going back to all of those places. That was a lot of fun. Why don't we go and well, there's one thing I was suggesting. I was thinking about doing a video on something, and I thought you guys might be interested in hearing about it early. It's called Haney Moments. I want to do a video about Haney moments. And a Haney moment is when you're driving around or walking around or riding a bicycle around, when you're somewhere and you don't know where you are. You're not lost, but you don't know where you are, right? I'm not talking about when you're lost, but let's say you're driving somewhere and you've never been there before and everything looks different. You're not sure what it is. And then you have a Haney moment, and it's named after my friend Josh Haney, who Josh and I were on a ride together and this happened to us. And so I named this phenomena after him. A Haney moment is when you suddenly have that realization of, oh, I've been here and I know where I am. I know exactly where I am. We drive through some strange area and you're seeing all this strange, unfamiliar territory, and then suddenly you recognize the curve of a road, or you recognize a school. That's one thing that happened to us. We passed an elementary school that we had previously pulled into the parking lot to change batteries on a camera or something, and suddenly, hell, there's that school we stopped at. Or, hey, this is the road that goes down to Spook Hill or something. That's right. This looks like we might, are we in that area? And so that suddenly, that sudden realization as you're driving in an unfamiliar location, but generally in your area, and you suddenly open up into a space and you say, I know where we are. That is a Haney moment. That is a Haney moment. My kitty cat's over here rolling around behind my laptop, and her collar and chain and bell thing on around her neck is banging on the desk. So I'm hoping you're not hearing that, but you may be. Well, look who's here tonight. It is Granny. There's a view I never switched to. I keep forgetting to switch to this view, which is mobile friendly. And I bet you our friend Geraldine, if she's still listening, is probably watching us from, she's probably transporting herself in a Peruvian taxi cab, make a connection to a trolley so that she can get on a bus and drive across town. So this is my mobile-friendly view for people reading comments. So this is what that looks like. But I don't ever use this. I don't ever use this view. I like this one because it makes me bigger. So that was the Haney moment. I think I'm going to do a video about that. Coincidentally, I listened to a podcast called Exploring the Lord of the Rings, and they do a weekly reading and line-by-line evaluation of the text. And they had a Haney moment in last night's podcast as they're working their way through Moria, the caverns, the mines, and suddenly Gandalf is like, I know where we are. All you got to do is go up these stairs, hang a left, run down this hallway, third door on the left, blah, 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 go across the bridge, out the gate, boom, we're safe. He had a Haney moment. So if I make a video about Haney moments, I want to remember to use that illustration because it's very funny that came in. Okay, so like I was just promising, let us do our nature reading. I've been reading the nature sections that I could find in Lord of the Rings, and now I thought, you know, what would be cool is let's just go read something different. Geraldine is on the bus. Both views work. Good. Yeah. Well, if I put a comment down here like this, Geraldine, I'm going to read it to you. So even if you can't see it, you could be listening. That's the cool thing about this live stream is you really could just be listening to the entire thing, you know. Yeah, that's a good question. Granny's asking if DG is still feeling upset because he posted earlier that he was having a stomach ache, and that's why he didn't go live stream earlier tonight. I was looking forward to watching Daniel's live stream earlier today, but he didn't feel good coming out of work, so we didn't get a live stream from him. So, Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar's famous work, The Gallic Wars, his primary surviving works are what he wrote about his military campaigns. And this one particular literary work is called The Gallic Wars. It was written in the third person, so it's him writing about Julius Caesar, and it chronicles his campaigns in Gaul, right? And Gaul is a large area which covers modern France, Belgium, Switzerland, some parts of Germany, but not too much of Germany because when they ran into Vercingetorix, they turned around and said, we're not fighting that guy too much more, which they did eventually fight him and beat him. But those scary Germans with their long white hair and weird face paint, I think they crossed the Rhine, but maybe not too far. So in Book 6, Chapter 25, Julius Caesar's description of the Hercynian Silva, a massive ancient forest spanning modern Germany, Czechia, and Poland. In Book 6, amid some ethnography on the Germans, he marvels at its scale and the exotic beasts within, blending observation with reports of the wild interior. So here he is. What year did I say this was? This is, 50 years before Christ he's writing here. He says, quote, the Hercynian forest stretches without a break for a distance of 9 days' journey, or about 60 miles. No man, neither in time of peace nor war, ever reached its eastern limit, and no one from generation to generation has been able to say what lies beyond. In it are found the aurochs, animals resembling in size the elephant, with black horns, fierce and swift; the elk, which has no joints in its legs; the urus, a little below the elephant in size, exceedingly swift and fierce; and a stag with a single horn growing from the middle of its forehead. Obviously, that was a unicorn. The one that really catches my attention here is the aurochs. Aurochs, right here in the middle of the screen here. The aurochs was also native to the British Isles, and we have found its skeletons as far east as Russia. It's extinct now, but think of a bull, like a male cow, a bull the size of an elephant. Can you imagine these things just like stumbling out of some trees into a clearing where you are? I first heard of this creature reading Edward Rutherford's book on Stonehenge. It's a historical fiction book called Sarum. It's it's right there in my bookcase. Sarum. And in his fictionalized history, the inhabitants of what became southern England, hunt an aurochs, and it's a really cool part of the story, and that's where I first heard of this creature. They thought it was extinct for hundreds of years until one surviving remaining animal was seen in the 1800s. Now, I'm just going by memory now, so I think this was in Poland, but a surviving aurochs was found. Of course, it died out. They only had one of them, and you need two to keep a species going. In the 1850s, they weren't cloning anything. But boy, that would have been amazing to see a gigantic black bull as big as an elephant. Caesar goes on. This passage reflects Caesar. Well, Caesar doesn't go on. My commentary that I wrote. This passage reflects Caesar's style. Nature isn't romanticized, but is instrumental. Wilderness is an obstacle, an ally, or a shaper of the barbarian valor. There are more nature-oriented passages in his Civil Wars, which has briefer landscape notes like the Italian countryside. So, my channel focuses on nature, and I want to draw your attention to commentaries on nature in literature. So, if you want to hear what Julius Caesar thought about Gaul, Northern Europe, divert your attention to Book 6, Chapter 25, and read more than just my little commentary on his commentaries, I guess. The Gallic Wars. So that's our nature reading for today. Let's see what else I have on my show notes. We may be, how are we doing on time? Not bad, 45 minutes in. And it looks like I should take a peek at this. I should look at this more often than I do. Yeah, still 6 viewers. Fantastic. If any of you had to check out during my reading, I missed it on the chat. Hopefully I didn't. But I hope that you found that beneficial. The last thing I think I want to bring up is just an update on my garden and how the garden is coming. And for those of you who missed any of the early stuff, you can always go back and watch this live stream on replay tomorrow or during the rest of the week. But what I had started to notice is that there's a pathway that I tend to go frequently through the garden to get around to the various parts. And I also noticed that I had a gigantic amount of flower pots and planters kind of crowding my porch and sort of building up. And I was trying to reorient them all the time and find a good spot for them. But, and here's a great sign. Look who just dropped in. It is Lori, Queen of the Soul Circle. You've been listening while you're cleaning house. That's awesome. Just make your way back to the keyboard. Cleaning house and listening to podcasts. Is there anything better, Lori? So what I decided to do, since I've already started to kind of create this pathway with my walking, is I took all of the planters and flower pots and everything like that and lined as a border on my walkway and path. CL's still here. Very good. Still reorganizing my Magic the Gathering card. See, I love how people can do 2 things at once. You can listen to something like this in the background, listening to me ramble on about Lord knows what, but at the same time doing something like organizing this or organizing that or cleaning house. That's what podcasts were invented for. And my dad asked an interesting question the other night. He said, or day, whatever it was, he said, what's the difference between a live stream and a podcast? And the differences are negligible. It was kind of a struggle to come up with the specifics. The only differences are technical in how they're published and how people access them. A live stream is on a platform like this, and I make the live stream, and you watch it on the platform. A podcast gets pushed out to podcast services, but the content itself is not much different, right? It's just a guy rambling about what's important to him or 2 people talking to each other. So I've lined my walkway with the planters and flower pots and things like that. And I'll get a picture. I should have had a picture. If I knew I was going to talk about this tonight, you'd think I'd bring a picture to show you. But my idea of doing live streams directly from the garden, they haven't worked out because by the time I start this at 8 o'clock, it's too dark, really, to be out trying to, I think it's too dark. I could be out there with some light on me. I could have one of my, traveling lights on me. You'd see me, but I wouldn't be able to walk you around and show you the garden. So maybe when the springtime comes and we can be out there and it's a little bit lighter, maybe we'll start to do something like that. But I'll get some pictures and I'll post them in the posts section of the channel so you can see what I'm talking about. My little garden walkway pathway. I think it's nice. I think it came out really well. You're supposed to define a garden path or walkway with a better border. You know, they make these borders you can either nail in or stamp in or spike in. And some of them are just cheap rubber, some of them are metal railings. Um, I didn't do that. I didn't put down rocks or anything like that. Maybe someday. Maybe someday, once I establish if this pathway that I created actually works well for me, maybe I'll put something as a nice border for the walkway. But for right now, I've just got my potted plants, my wildflowers, my pentas, my other plants coming in. Kind of makes it easy to water them because I just take the watering can and follow the path, watering on the right, watering on the left as I make my way around the path. And I don't have to try and remember what did I water and what when I have to go back and refill the watering can. I don't have to try and remember what did I water and what did I not water yet because it's easy. I'm on the path. I know I got this far, you know. So that's my story on the garden walkway. Uh, Question for you folks. I guess you could leave it in the chat down here if you wanted. Um, but I'm curious if any of you have started to get out into parks or nature areas more than you used to once you started paying attention to YouTube channels and videos about this kind of stuff. And I know I'm not the only one you watch. There's several channels out there, like Monica's channel, for example. And I'm just reading the chat here. Geraldine is a little bit behind, but she did hear the reading, which is great. And yeah, we're getting a lot of rain. That's not a problem. But I still walk through the garden, and in the morning I give them all a little splash of water because sometimes we don't get our rain till the afternoon, and if I don't water them in the morning, they end up getting all wilty. Some of them get, especially some of the younger wildflowers that haven't sprouted yet, their stalks aren't up yet. They're just putting out their leaves. They get all wilty if I don't water them in the morning. So I give them a drink in the morning, and then if it rains in the afternoon, so be it, you know. But I am curious if any of you have been increasing your frequency on going out to nature, going into parks, anything like that. Granny, that's a good point. Granny says, I have gone to more parks, but I think is due to the cooler temperature right now. That's true. It was a hot summer, Granny. Us Florida folks down here. Now you were tramping around in Ohio or someplace like that on some of your videos, so I know you did a little bit of traveling up there. But when you're down here, you're right. It gets hot in the summer, and so it's hard to get out in those parks. But I just force myself to get out. I just say it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, I'm going to be soaking wet with sweat when I come back, but I'm going to get out and walk them because when I get there, I enjoy them. Seeing the alligators, seeing the ibis, seeing the egrets, seeing the anahinga, which is a really cool bird we have. We have a bird here called an anahinga that it's a black, kind of looks like a egret, but it stands and it holds its wings out above the water. It fishes, right? It fishes and it gets soaking wet when it dives and catches a fish and eats it with its long neck. It'll just stand there with its wings open and is drying its wings off, right? In the air and the breeze and the sun. And it'll just stand there like a statue with his wings wide open. And it's called an anahinga. And some people call him like a black snake bird or something, but it's not a black snake bird. It's an anahinga. But it's got a really long neck like a crane. And it'll just be standing there with his feet sticking in the water, drying off. And then he feels sufficiently dry and he'll fly a little bit and then he'll land and he'll stick his head down and catch another fish. I love seeing stuff like that. So yeah, it's hot. Yeah, it's sweaty to get out there in August and go to these nature trails and places like that. But I force myself to do it because I know I'm going to love it. Once I get out there, I know I'm going to love it. Yeah, we have very sandy soil here as well. Anything you water just goes right through it. That makes sense, yeah. We don't have a kind of a clay. We don't have a rich soil. We have to kind of buy our topsoil in a bag and sort of reload our yards down here because uh, our yards are essentially sand with grass growing in it, and then we've got this gigantic, thick St. Augustine grass that hurts your bare feet to walk on it. They're so stiff and sharp, but underneath it's just sand. So one thing you have to do if you're going to plant stuff is buy topsoil, for yard use. You can buy a bag of topsoil for yard use and put it down, and then you've created a richer, more nutrient-rich layer of soil that'll last a couple years. Granny is talking about those anhingas. Yeah. CL says, I do most of my park visits in the fall. I can't do the heat. I rather watch the pelicans from the yard. Yeah, boy, I wish we had pelicans. That would be so cool. We have an occasional, what walks through our yard once in a blue moon is a snapping turtle. My wife was just reminding me of a snapping turtle that walked through our yard when the kids were little. And she was like, get away from it. Leave it alone. I don't remember. I wasn't home at the time. And I mean, was it a snapping turtle? Maybe. I don't know. She said it was really big and had a big old snapping turtle mouth and nose. So maybe. Could be. I asked her if she thought it was a gopher tortoise, which we have everywhere. And they're endangered here, but they're not near as big. A gopher tortoise is about this big. And she said it was a big old snapping turtle. So maybe. I don't know. Could be. And we also have flamingos. We'll see flamingos and parrots, but we don't have pelicans. I do think that there are, well, I know there's pelicans if I go down to the ocean. If I go walk out on the pier, absolutely we get pelicans, but I'm about 10 miles from the ocean in here on the very edge of the Everglades. Let me show you real fast. Go back to our mappage. If we look at our real-time lightning map, which we can see how the weather's doing, by the way, and Granny, you're doing okay. There's no map, there's no weather, no rain in the area there for Sebastian the ibis. Easy to remember. But if you look at this area where I live, my entire county, I'm going to turn on the, where is the satellite map? Here we go. Satellite. This gigantic cluster of civilization on the eastern edge is the West Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami metropolitan area, the Tri-County area. West Palm, Fort Lauderdale, Miami's right here. And it's contiguous. There's no break. You can't tell when you leave one town, go to another. And then this giant big greeny area here is the Everglades. And the water flows out of Lake Okeechobee here through these canals and through the swamps, down through the Everglades, and works its way slowly out into Florida Bay, which is down here. So it's a river. It's a very slow-moving river that's 100 miles wide and about knee-deep. This entire watershed flowing to the southwest. But I live out here on the very, very edge of things. Hold on a second. Let that thing reload. I live way out here, right where this city meets the Everglades. So it's like less than a mile from my house to this thing called the Greenway. There's this, well, it's not showing up here very well, but I could bring it up in maybe another map someday. Maybe we should go out to the Greenway and film a video. My son went out there tonight, was walking on it, but it's a levee. The levee that holds back the Everglades and keeps it from flooding into our city right here. And you can walk on the top of the levee out into the Everglades, and it's really neat. It's a good place to go watch a sunset, stuff like that. So maybe I'll make a video from that. That's not very far at all. It's a little 1 mile drive from my house to the levee to go see all that. How do we get on? Oh, how do we get on the? Yeah, the topic of that is that the ocean's a good 10 miles away. So getting out here to the piers and the docks and all this stuff where the pelicans would be found is not that it's a far drive. 10 miles isn't far. I just don't go to the beach. Just never go to the beach. Let me set my map back to what I like. There we go. So we can keep an eye on it. And by the way, these rain bands down here are related to Hurricane Melissa. We are getting these bands of rain coming through and fanning out. Let's just take a peek and see how Melissa's doing. Spare a thought and spare a prayer for Jamaica and Cuba and all those folks who got nailed. That had to be absolutely no fun whatsoever. Yeah, it's pretty far north of Cuba. We're up here in the top left. Let me zoom this in slightly. Yeah, so this loop of this water vapor here, it's off on the coast. It's actually out to the east of the Bahamas. This island right here is the Bahamas. This big island here is Cuba. That's Jamaica down here. We're up here on the left. I live about right there. And you can see that we are starting to get rain bands starting to impact. And all this weather, this big stripe right here is the same one I was just showing you on the weather map. And you can see it's being drawn in by the storm and it's getting all of its moisture and it's getting all that stuff. So that stripe right here at the southern tip of the peninsula is this. And so that's a bunch of heavy rain washing over the Keys. My son lives down here in Key West. One of them does. And so, but it's always raining in Key West. You live out in Key West, you're basically living on a ship out in the middle of the ocean. So you got to expect rain every single day in Key West. That's what you get. But us folks up here, these rain bands are slowly working their way in from the west. They're working their way across from the west. So, all right, more jibber jabber from me. Let's go back and see what I'm missing in the chat, because I think y'all are talking about animals. Let's see here. Dad says, oh, you have a gopher turtle in the back that's over 30 years old. Really? You got a gopher turtle's hole and home back behind you, huh? I can just see my grandkids wanting to chase and play with that tortoise. Yeah, Mom was like, leave it alone. Geraldine says, I want to go out more because of you. I'm planning on a video outdoors. Oh, Geraldine, that would be so cool. Why don't you take us and show us what Peru looks like? None of us know what Peru looks like other than, if I saw a video of like Top Gear or something. I know it's a very arid climate. You're essentially in the desert. You've got very high elevation areas, mountains, all that stuff. Get your phone, record a video, go walking around. You don't have to be fancy with your editing, and throw it on your channel. Because I want to see Peru. I want to see it. CL says, sometimes a big blue heron hunts for glass lizards in our background. We don't really see any turtles. I don't know what glass lizards are. That's a new one to me, CL. I'm going to have to look that up. In fact, why don't I just do that right now? Because if I'm curious, somebody else might be curious. Let's see, what is a glass? By the way, if you guys don't know Mike's weather channel, it's really cool. It shows you all the weather maps, and every single one of them is clickable. And if you click it, it takes you to a big version of it. So the website, and here's the funny thing, it's got these models, right, that multiple models try to predict where the storm's going to go, and it looks like spaghetti, like all this. So the name of his website is spaghettymodels.com. Spaghetti with a H, 2 T's, spaghettymodels.com. Mike's weather page. It's a very good weather page. But let's see, what are glass lizards? Ooh, they're shiny like glass. Oh, that's cool. They're really cool. Here's a YouTube video. Shh. Be quiet. I didn't ask you to talk. Glass lizards. So is it called a glass lizard because it's shiny? It looks like it's made of glass. That would kind of make sense. Listen, here's something you won't see me doing. Sticking my hand down in the swamp, putting my hand in the water. I won't be seeing me do that. No, thank you. So glass lizards, I didn't know. I didn't know those. I've never heard those. That's really cool. I don't think we have them down here. I don't remember ever seeing glass lizards, but that's cool. So the blue heron hunts for the glass lizards. That's neat. Look up Pelican Island. It's a refuge island for the brown pelican, and it's not far from your house. All right, let's do that. Why not? Let's look up Pelican Island. Never heard of that. Pelican Harbor, Pelican Island Skipper. There's two main locations. This is AI near Miami. No, that's not you. And one near Sebastian. Okay, so Pelican Island National Wildlife Refuge near Sebastian. So let's look at that one. Bink. Go to the map. Open in Maps. Open in Google Maps. Look at the pictures. Wow. Pelican Island. That's pretty neat. This is a boardwalk. I love these boardwalks. You can walk right out in. It's so easy to walk in boardwalks. The birds of Pelican Island. So let's just quick hop in the map, and I want to see where it is. Oh, it's right off the coast there, yeah. Oh, it's north of Vero. Here's Fort Pierce, Port St. Lucie, Vero, Pelican Island right off the coast. And then you're not too far. Where is Sebastiano? Oh, here's Fellsmere, Granny. Right here, home of Marsh Landing. Sorry, I'm getting diverted because now I'm thinking about their breakfast at the Marsh Landing restaurant in Fellsmere. Sorry. Okay, that was a diversion, but we can blame Granny because she posted pictures of it earlier this week. We love the Marsh Landing. Okay, so why am I not seeing Sebastian? Why am I missing Sebastian? Where is... Oh, here's St. Sebastian. Oh, it's right there. Right there, you dummy. If that was a snake, it would have bit you. Sebastian is very close to Pelican Island National Wildlife Refuge. Now, let's see. We're going to look for green text, right? Remember my trick? We look for the green text. So this one here, Pelican Island National Wildlife Refuge, and then viewing area. And you know what I'm seeing right here is a parking lot. Always look for the parking lot and little trails going out. Wow. This is pretty good because this would not be more than, well, it's about an hour north of me. All right, Granny, you get a gold star for that suggestion. That's a winner right there, Granny. Let me see if I can go back to the chat. What did she say? Look up Pelican Island. It's a refuge island for the brown pelican. Real close to your house. If I came up there in the morning and walked around the Pelican Island, Granny, then we could go to lunch at Marsh Landing. That'd be pretty cool. Kitty is saying, hey, it's after 9 o'clock. When are you going to feed me? Right? How did you know it's 9 o'clock? How do they know? Geraldine, I do enjoy all birds, including pelicans. They're near. So you got those in Peru too? That makes sense. You're close to the ocean. The pelicans, hawks, eagles, and owls all hang out around the bayou here. That's cool. In case you all forgot, CL is up there in the Panhandle, way out pretty close over towards Mobile Bay. Did he drive a Chevy to the levee? That's when we were talking about the levees. I do not have a Chevy. I have a Ford, and the levee was dry. Yeah, Dad wants to see videos from you, Geraldine. Yeah, that glass lizard looks more snake-like. Looks like Pop is gone. Sorry to bail on y'all, but I have some tasks to take care of about now. Good night and sweet dreams to everyone. See you next Wednesday. Be well, do good. My dad needs a new catchphrase. He's been saying, be well, do good, for so long now. I can't remember how long it's been, but he needs a new catchphrase, y'all. Not a fan, are you, Granny? No, I don't see those either. They look like really shiny little green snakes. Cool. Yep. 3 miles across the water if I were a bird. And she says yes to Marsh Landing. Yep. And Granny is a Ford driver as well. Right on. I'm looking at my Ford Escape right there, which is almost big enough for me to lay down on the back and go to sleep and camp in it. I have camped in that car because I like taking the car out to a campsite, making a little campfire, making some dinner, having the after dinner coffee, smoking a pipe, and then crawling into the car to go to sleep instead of a tent. Especially in Florida, because if you get too hot, you can turn on the air conditioning in a car. There's no air conditioning in a tent. So that's my go-to trick. But the Escape is not quite big enough. I really should have whatever the next bigger car is, probably Expedition. Not the Excursion. The Excursion's massive, but an Expedition would work. Actually, the modern Escape is probably big enough because these days they make cars bigger. That's 10 years old. So maybe a current Escape would work, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to keep that car for a while because it's free. It's already paid for. That's the best feature you can have on a car is paid for. And I think my next vehicle, I want it to be a Jeep or a truck because I might want to do that trick where they have the roof mounted tents. I think those are pretty cool. They fold up and then they pop up and you have a tent on the roof. I might be down for that. Yeah. CL says that these glass lizards eat mosquitoes and anything. Come here, kitty. Anything that eats mosquitoes is okay with me. I'll tell you that. That's why I like spiders. I don't mind spiders one bit because they eat mosquitoes. How about if I feed you? I promise I will feed you as soon as we finish the live stream, which we are 10 minutes past the top of the hour. So we're on overtime now. It's like we're the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. We're in extra innings now. So I really should let y'all go. I'm sure we would love to stay here chatting and texting, but here's a question for you. I'm thinking about creating a Discord server for the channel, and it's a place where we could all log in. If you don't know, Discord is kind of like Facebook Messenger. It's just a chat room. Let me show you. Oh, do I have a way to show you? I don't have the way to share the. I'd have to set it up. I don't have it set up. I'll try and set it up. But I was thinking about. It's real easy. You can go to on a web browser. You don't have to install anything. You can go on your phone. There's a phone app. If you want, there's an app for your computer. But it's basically a chat room that's private for you and your friends, and you set it up. So if you folks would be interested, I will set up a Discord server and start posting a link in my videos and in my descriptions where we can have this kind of conversation that we're doing right now in the chat ongoing and have a good little time. If some of you would do that. If you've never done Discord before, it's super easy. You follow a link, tell it what your name is, and boom, you're into the private little chat room that nobody else can come to. Now, if I post a link for everybody to see, we might get a weirdo. And if we get a weirdo, I'll toss them out. I'll kick them out and say they're out of here. So I'm thinking about doing that just because you know we're having such a good time with the chat and talking to each other, and you guys talking back and forth to each other, and I'm replying. So yeah, Granny says she might be up for that. Long Point Campground in Brevard. Yeah, Brevard's a pretty good drive for me though. That's pretty far. Remember, it takes me an hour. It takes me an hour to get out of Palm Beach County. You know, from here to the top of Palm Beach County is an hour. We also have a Toyota Sienna van. The middle seats come out and the back seats lay flat. Just prefer driving the Cobalt. Yeah, the Cobalt's probably a much nicer drive while you wait on your Corvette. Right? Would you say a 94 Corvette's what you're looking for? But until then, you got the Cobalt for driving and the Sienna for chilling. So that does sound nice. The Toyota Sienna sounds like it'd be great for camping. But for just driving around, for somebody who likes sports cars like Miss CL, the SS Cobalt, that's the winner. It's near Sebastian Inlet. Yeah, that would be a day for me to go up and visit something like that, spend some time, and then come back. It's an all-day trip for me to go up and see something like that. But there's tons of camping spots near me, so I'm sure Long Point Campground's cool, but I don't, I'm not hurting for campgrounds, that's for sure. I got a million of them picked out. I have a favorite, which is halfway across the state on the Tamiami Trail. Not a whole lot of traffic going by at night. It's out in the middle of the Everglades. It's really far away from civilization, so you can see all the stars because there's no light pollution whatsoever, and that's really nice. So you just hit a Publix on the way, get yourself something to eat for dinner, take it out there, build a fire, cook up whatever you brought out with you. Make some hamburger helper or whatever else you like to cook. Like to cook up. I usually like to make tacos when I'm camping. Tacos is what I like to make. Um, oh, Geraldine, you're killing me. She says, "Gotta go. Be well, do good." She stole my dad's. She stole his catchphrase. We got to get a new catchphrase. You can't be reusing it. That's very funny, Geraldine. You got me. I love it. Granny says, "I like it because the sites are on the water." Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. Nothing wrong with that. The campsites I like on the water are actually on the river. There's some on the St. Lucie River. There's the campsites at the Lock and Dam, the campsite run by the what do you call those guys? The Army Corps of Engineers. Those are some nice campgrounds. I've never camped on the ocean before. I don't know what it's like. I'm sure those are pretty cool. Never camped. Race car CL says the Cobalt is lowered to the ground. It is not smooth. It's loud and fast. I bet it drives like it's on rails, but it's not comfy. You are cracking me up, CL. You could do a whole channel about cars. You could have a car channel, trust me, because the way you talk about them, I can tell that is a passion. You are loving cars. All right, well, I'm going to let everybody go. It is getting late. It's 1:15. My wife goes out on Wednesday nights to a church thing, and she's going to be getting home soon, which is why it's a great time for me to do a live stream on a Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. But she'll be getting home anytime now. In fact, I can even peek on the map because I have spyware on her phone. Not really spyware, but, location sharing and all that. Yeah, she's driving back already, so she'll be here. She'll be here in less than 5 minutes. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. I want to say a special thanks to every single one of you who hung out all this time. I know it's been a while. We had a long one tonight, an hour and 15 minutes. Be sure to check out each other's channels. Make sure that you're all visiting each other's channels, comment on each other's channels, and watch for a link to Discord. Like I said, it's a lot of fun in there. I was running one of those for the old motorcycle channel, so I'll set it up and create a link and stuff like that for you folks. We'll get in there and have a good time. Other than that, thanks for watching. I will see you all. I love you all very much, and I'll see you later.